Shalom, family.
Shalom.
Yes, welcome to the channel, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you don't know, guys, we are Journey with Us,
Yes.
a family of 7. We are digital nomads. Been traveling around Africa for the past 4 years. We traveled to Tanzania, as most of you guys know. That's where we were for about three and a half years. We traveled to Kenya. We traveled to Zambia, Zanzibar, and now the country that we're in.
Yes.
If you want to know the country that we are in now, go follow our members only. We don't share that to this audience, only the people that is members.
Yeah, the 50
so go check
people.
It out.
Isn't that a good number?
Yeah, 50 people. So go
That's
check it out. We tell people what it is, what happened to us, and what to prevent certain things. So go check out members only if you are interested in the country that we're in, and if you want more information that we provide. So yes, guys, welcome. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't, and leave us a comment and let us know your thoughts.
Let's talk about moving from the USA to Southern Africa, because I've seen a huge movement. I know you have too, of diaspora from America that have been moving to Southern Africa.
Yeah.
Even some diaspora that were in different areas of Africa, like the East or the West or the North. A lot of people are coming to Southern Africa. And so we're going to talk about the 7 reasons we believe people are doing that. We do believe that it is a wise move, one of the wisest moves you can make, because it's important for us to be in the right position for the time we're in the earth. Our people are in a crisis. Y'all, with this Georgia shooting they had, this 15-year-old in the Black community shot the other 15-year-olds. Y'all, we are in crisis and we need to seek out safety on the continent. So.
Yeah, and that's just what it is, safety. I know everybody say Africa is dangerous, be careful in Africa, but from our experience these past 4 years, we've been safe. We haven't been really looking over our shoulder, worried about what could happen. We worried about the peace that is just here. So we welcome you guys to come to Southern Africa, just to Africa in general.
Number 1 is safety that we just talked about.
Yes, number 1 is safety.
Number 1 is safety in Southern Africa. And when we say Southern Africa, let me tell you some of these countries we're talking about. Obviously, we're talking about South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Seychelles, Zambia, Lesotho, Eswatini, Mauritius, Madagascar. Who else we got in Southern Africa? We got Comoros, off the coast of Tanzania, and Mozambique. And so these are the countries that we're talking about. These countries, by the way, a lot of them, if you break it by region, a lot of these countries host the most of the countries in Africa that are on the least corruption list. That's number 1. Like, that will save you money, save you stress, save you time, save you your sanity to not have to deal with corruption. Okay, you want to skip right over that issue and come to a country like the countries in Southern Africa that are serious about being least corrupt, serious about making systems work in their country. Now, I do have to say Rwanda and East Africa is very big on this as well. I do want to say that, as well as Kenya. Okay, so just to put that out there, because we're not saying that other countries aren't safe in Africa. But for the most part, South Africa, the southern region, has a lot of these precautions that you need.
And I know what you guys are going to say. I know people hear a lot of stories. But if you have not walked it, I don't think you should really put yourself in that position. Because we hear a lot of people say, oh, South Africa is so dangerous. But when you actually go there, it might be a totally different experience for you. We always suggest that people experience what they need to experience before listening to whatever everybody else says.
Facts.
So make sure you go check it out before you believe stuff that everybody say. You gotta think about it. Everybody say Africa is just poor, Africa is dangerous.
Yeah.
Just it's crazy.
Yeah.
But when you come here, it's a totally different story.
Exactly. I think it's good that you mentioned that, because it's also from the perspective of us coming from the West. We're talking to the diaspora that has been born in America, born in the UK. We are used to a certain level of hostility and violence, I hate to say it like that, than our African brothers and sisters of like Kenya or Tanzania or Senegal or, Congo. Maybe they're not used to violence in that way. and they're not used to being in a land where you see a lot of different nations. And so from their perspective, they're like, oh, that's so dangerous. And from their perspective, they're right, because in their country, maybe it's a little bit more peaceful. It's like Tanzania is one of the most peaceful countries in Africa, okay? Same with Ghana. And so from their perspective, that's valid. But from our perspective as Westerners, knowing how to maneuver, and I hate to say it like this, but knowing how to maneuver the streets, knowing how to go in and out of a place and figure out, okay, where's the safe spot going to be? Which neighborhood do I need to be in? We just come with a little bit more, how can I put it? I don't want to say life experience, but we come from a background that allows us to be a little bit more rigid, diligent, and wise in how we maneuver so that we're less fearless in coming to Africa. Because I'll tell you right now, you already know what's going off popping off in Atlanta, Georgia, and there's no place on earth that stuff is happening other than America.
Yeah.
Next, we have stability. Okay, Southern Africa is stable. Shout out to the brothers and sisters in West Africa, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Senegal. They're standing for the people. But at the end of the day, when you have children, when you're an African diaspora, your whole goal, we fought enough in America. You don't need to be in another fight in Africa. Let's just be quite frank and honest. You don't need to be in another fight. You need to get your family here to safety. You need to heal. You need to have rest. You need to have peace. You need to get stability for your business, for your children's education, all of these things. And Southern Africa is the perfect place for that to happen, okay? Southern Africa is the best place in Africa to have that stability right now as it is. We also know there's stuff going on at the border of like Rwanda, Congo, the western side of Tanzania, Congo, Mozambique. And so it's important to be aware of some of these political dynamics on the continent because they have a lot to do with you as a diaspora. Because when you come over here, you're automatically going to be around politicians and heavy hitters. And you want to make sure that you're coming in a place that's not in such a level of, how can I put it? Such a trauma level to where they may see you as a threat. You want to be somewhere where it's stable, it's peaceful, it's been that way. So when you come in, they can see you with a proper perspective.
Yeah, it's time for Africa to stand up. It's time for Africa to rise. And that's what we see. That's what we notice been here for 4 years. The next point is amenities in a system, right? So most countries in South Africa, you got to listen to this. Most countries, they do month-to-month rent, right? The water is maybe $8 a month. The electricity is maybe $20 at the most, $30 at the most. So you have to think about coming here to Africa. I know most African countries, they might charge 3 to 6 to 12 months at a time.
Yeah, most do.
But most southern countries here in Africa, they charge month to month. So that's a blessing. I mean, of course, just like in America, if you're going to go get a new place, you got to put down a deposit, first month, last month's rent, and maybe like an agent fee. It's the same thing here in Southern Africa.
Yeah.
This is things that you have to think about when moving to Africa, because these systems here, the internet here where we are is stable. You know, the water, you can drink out of the faucet. Like literally, you can just fill your cup up and drink it.
Yeah, that's something we couldn't always do in East Africa. That's true.
That's something to really think about.
That's true. Yeah. Absolutely. Especially if you have children, you have little ones. We have all these different pandemics and plagues that are coming out. And you really want to preference safety. Now, the next point is also super, super important. We were talking about this before this video. It's the last point we'll discuss before we get into access to the markets. But residence. Southern Africa.
The visas and
the best residence you can find on the continent.
If you are a big family, if you have children, and they're of age, I would say maybe middle school, and they're going to high school, just any type of family, you have to think about where you're going to be long term, at least 4 5 years at a time. Yeah. Like, where would you be? Which countries provide the residencies like that? Which countries provide the visas like that? So this is something that you really have to think about. And there's a lot of African countries here, Southern African countries.
These Southern African countries have the best residencies, 5-year, 10-year visas, not 1 year, not 2 year, have to pay over 1 year, 2 year. That's just annoying, to be quite honest, to be very frank. So you can have a little bit more favor.
Yeah, you have to think
a little bit more longevity.
You have to think about saving too. if you have a family, you think about how can you leave a legacy for them? How are you going to leave an inheritance for them? And if you have to keep switching your visa and residency every 6 months, every year, every 2 years, that's really not a lot of time to really try to save up to really invest in their future. So that's
Right.
something to really consider when you're thinking
Right.
about moving here to Southern Africa.
Facts, because you'll also find a lot of countries like South Africa and the country we're in. I'm not sure about like Namibia or Botswana, but they allow you to have a freehold lease. Okay, so that means you're not on a leasehold. There's two different types of property arrangements in Africa. You have leasehold, you have freehold. We'll have to do a separate video to talk about real estate in Africa, but you get access to more freedom in Southern Africa so that you can come in. And then on top of that, you have diversified markets. Now, this is similar to East Africa. The Swahili coast is similar like this, but in Southern Africa, you have access also to Indonesian markets, Chinese markets, Japanese markets, Middle Eastern markets, the Mediterranean. So you're positioning yourself, your family, your business for a lifestyle where you can trade with these different people. You don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. And we never suggest that. We always come from a strategic standpoint of, hey, make the best decision that is going to be in 7 different ways. Okay. Like we even tell our clients in Dream Life Africa, make sure you have 7 different bank accounts. Okay. And so you want to use that same pattern, that same strategy to go in and say, okay, I want to be able to diversify myself in Southern Africa, in Africa as a whole, so that I'm not reliant on just one system, one state of being. Diversify your network, and you're going to have a wonderful, sustainable journey in Africa when you take these considerations in mind. So save this video, share it, like it, share it in all the Facebook groups for the diaspora, because these are critical points.
Yes. So do not put your eggs in one basket.
Yep.
So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the information. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you in the next video.
Shalom.
Shalom.